I think we're about finished up with strawberries this next week or so in our patch back here. We have been on a journey with them. So when we started, we had some sparkle strawberries and they mostly just produced foliage, no real berries. And then they escaped the raised bed Matthew insisted on putting them in, and we had them on the ground for a little bit, and I got maybe 2 berries from them. And that was with pinching off all the runners and everything too. It just didn't seem to make much of a difference. So we bought some Cavendish and one other variety. I can't remember what it was, about 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. And Matthew ordered way too many, like 500 strawberry plants, bare root strawberry plants, to put in this back patch that really shouldn't have had that many in here. Last year we got some strawberries, not as many as I was hoping, because the first year that we had these in, they didn't really produce anything, which we didn't really expect them to. But then last year we got some, but we were having trouble with something eating them. I don't know if it was a bird, a squirrel, I'm not really sure, but we netted everything, and we just bought like something off of Amazon, a cheap net off of Amazon, and it ended up killing a couple of birds. So we didn't want to do that again. So this year I was trying to figure out I was trying to figure out how I was going to protect the strawberries so that we actually get some, and we also were trying to figure out
strawberries.
Please wait, buddy.
I'm doing good. Just
Yep. So we were trying to figure out how to get more berries, because I felt like they should be producing better than they did. So even though they had some that year, I felt like it should be more for the amount of plants we had, which I had ripped out this year a bunch, because in a section of our patch we had a lot of spotting going on. So I ripped out a ton of plants and got rid of them in one section. And I did sell some in an area that was not spotty at all. I sold a few plants bare root that way and gave some to some friends. And we just really thinned it out a lot. So I was like, make sure that there's enough space around each strawberry plant. And then we sprayed with a fertilizer twice. And then I had read that you could put little painted rocks out when the strawberries started to form to deter birds. So they'd peck at them, and I guess that would deter them for when you actually had berries. So I did that with the kids. We did maybe, 10 for the whole patch. And then I also got a few trash cans that were like wire or mesh trash cans to put over a few of the plants, so I thought I could just kind of rotate them through the best ones. And I had some old sheer curtains that we'd been using for garden purposes that I cut into smaller squares to put over some of the plants to protect them. And I had also last year transplanted a bunch of chives into the patch, and I've been trying really hard to get some thyme established. My hope was to cut down on the amount of mulch and hay or straw that we'd need in the patch by doing the thyme or other ground cover or whatever. So we got creeping thyme, and last year I started to get it established in here. Okay, so here's what we got. So they actually did really well. Some of the stuff isn't established yet, and we still have a lot of weeds. But you can see here I've got thyme that I'm trying to use as kind of just covering the soil, and it actually established best in that back area over there. We are right by the highway, so it actually established best in that back area way over there. But he's got these mounds you can kind of see, and I'm starting to fill in and or squash the mounds because I just don't like them. I think that's part of why we had problems with disease, was that with just the spotting. I think it was partly because the strawberries, as they were running, were falling down into the rows. So so I got thyme that I'm establishing here, and I'm trying to use it as opposed to so much straw. And then I have chives just every few feet, and I divided these up a little bit to sell. to this year. I had covered some of these and they've kind of fallen off and not been so effective. But that being said, I didn't really see, and here's one of the trash cans that I still have here. And there's a basket over there you can see. I didn't really see any spots where we had them getting eaten so much. So my theories are, since actually most of the plants were not covered, my theory is that maybe the rocks worked, which seems silly. That just feels unrealistic to me, but let me see if I can find one of those rocks. Maybe the rocks worked. Maybe the chives and the thyme actually helped deter some pests. I'm really not sure. It's really muddy out here. Let's see if I could find one of those. But yeah, see, you can see here I've got a lot of this thyme is doing a lot better. It's kind of overtaking stuff, so I need to trim it back. But it seems ridiculous that I really didn't have high hopes for the rocks, but it seems really ridiculous that would have worked. But my only other thoughts, here's one. Yeah, surely not, right? Okay. So my only other thoughts was maybe the chives and the thyme helped, but we didn't cover nearly as much as I had intended to. So I don't know. I don't know why we were able to harvest so much more, but we're gonna do some of those things again. But like, even covering this, I didn't end up covering very much. I had maybe 4 baskets. I moved some of them since, but anyway, as we're looking at what we're doing next year, my plans are for the strawberry patch to level out as much as I can to get rid of those mounds because they're super annoying. And I also feel like it's just a recipe for the strawberries to fall down into there and get crowded and everything. I'm gonna do the painted rocks again because until I figure out that wasn't what it did. That was the main thing that I changed. So we're gonna try that again. And let's see. I think that's most of what I was going to change going into next year. So I was very happy with how it went because we've had several years. I have a kid that can eat, I've got 3 kids. They all like strawberries, and I have one that just will eat and eat and eat strawberries. So I was really hoping that when you plant 500 plants, even though that was probably a bad idea, I knew that was a bad idea when we did it. You would hope that you would have a fair amount of strawberries. So this year we did a lot better. I do think we're gonna use the fertilizer again. Eventually I'd like to try more of a natural fertilizer like the Comfrey that everybody's always talking about. See if that works, to put that on like during the winter for it to break down and to help cover some of the soil and all that. Those are my plans. I would eventually like to do buffalo grass in the rows. I really don't like having straw in the rows. I used to pick strawberries in the strawberry fields when I was, middle school maybe. And I hate the feeling of straw. So trying to figure out how to not have that. So that's the plan. I'm putting asparagus in the middle row to kind of fill that in. And so hopefully in a couple of years we'll have a nice asparagus patch through there. So we'll see how it goes.